Let's just go to the United States quickly. Joining me now is US political consultant Steven Hendrix. He's a former public official and diplomat during the Biden, Trump and Obama administration. Steven, welcome. You're in the key swing state of Wisconsin. Explain why Wisconsin and all the others are such an important part of the decision that will be made on Tuesday.
Well, as you know, it's not about the popular vote in the United States. It's all about the Electoral College. Right now, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan are really 50-50 states, and we don't know what's going to happen in any of those states. Here in Wisconsin, the split is right at that 50-50 mark. Biden carried it by just less than 20,000 votes out of 3.3 million last time. And that was crucial for Biden to win the election. I think it's going to come down to rural voters in Wisconsin to decide this next election.
Well, you've seen, obviously, they've been hitting the swing states in the last few days. On Friday, Trump and Harris were both in Milwaukee. What is the mood like on the ground? What is the feeling, not only about what the result is going to be, but the state of this election? I mean, you went from, of course, it being Trump and Biden to then Harris and Biden. Are we actually going to get people come out to vote because Harris is there instead of Biden? What's the feeling?
Well, not only has Harris been here and Trump yesterday, but we've had Tim Walz here, we've had J.D. Vance here, we've had former President Obama here. There has been an enormous amount of investment by both campaigns in the swing states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I think in the last day, two big political events have happened here. One is that the senior state senator from Green Bay, who's very diehard Republican, the senior ranking Republican in the state Senate has endorsed Harris. Also, the mayor of deeply Republican Waukesha has endorsed Harris. I think those were two big surprises for Republicans.
Well, you speak of surprises. There's a poll out of Iowa, a new poll has only come out today. Now, Iowa, Trump has had quite convincingly at the last two elections, but this poll is now showing that Harris is leading Trump in Iowa 47-44. And it's not a state that anyone had really talked about as being in play.
The Des Moines Register poll is fascinating because in Des Moines, in Iowa, you have a lot of rural white voters like we have here in Wisconsin. And if that swing is in fact borne out that we see in Iowa, that would mean that the Harris campaign was likely not only to take Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and therefore the election, but that other states would then become in play. You could start looking at North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada. You might even look at Ohio, Florida, and Texas. Now, these are critical because not only, you can say, well, who cares after Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania? Well, we have the United States Senate is in a 50-50 situation, and the House is very much in a 50-50 situation. Here in Wisconsin, our incumbent Senator Tammy Baldwin is running against a very strong campaign by Republican Eric Hovde. And again, it's 50-50. We don't know who the winner will be. Also in the House of Representatives, while there's very few national campaigns that could swing from one party to the other, we do have one in District 3, which is a western district of Wisconsin, where we've got a one-time incumbent, Derek Van Horden, against Rebecca Cook. And we'll see how that one goes as well. So Wisconsin might well decide not only the presidency, but also the House and the Senate.
Watching from afar, my impression has been that the Harris campaign has lost a lot of wind over the last few weeks and that Trump would seem to be in a better position to win this election. Is that how people feel on the ground in America? Is there a sense of who actually might win, given how close all of the polling has been?
Well, one of the things that I've found fascinating is the early voting here in Wisconsin. We have about 3.3 million voters, and already over 1 million Wisconsinites have voted. We don't really know whether these are people who had ordinarily voted, who just decided to vote early, or if these are new voters. Really key is going to be looking at those first-time voters, in particular women, to see how they vote. But there's definitely a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of excitement to get out and vote this time around. Now, traditionally, Democrats would have thought that if there's an increase in voter turnout and excitement, that favors the Democrats. I'm not certain that's true, partly because 4 years ago, Donald Trump discouraged early voting and told people to vote on election day. This time around, the Republicans have made a get out the vote campaign to get people to vote early. And I get 4 or 5 text messages or phone calls a day from each of the parties, trying to remind me to vote early and get out. And so there's a lot of investment in the campaign right now.
Well, you mentioned the early voting, and there's reports that as many as 70 million people have voted early, which is about 44% of what the voter turnout was in 2020. And obviously, as a campaign changes, and this is what we've been talking about with the Harris campaign, that it is of recent times that it seems to have lost the wagon. To have early voting as big as that, it can actually turn an election before you've had a full view of what things are.
Well, in Wisconsin, they do not release data in terms of how people have voted early, and that's going to be the case for Wisconsin. So we will still not know until the end of the day on Tuesday how this has gone in Wisconsin. There's another factor here with the early voting, and that is with COVID, people really adopted new behaviors, and we don't know how that plays yet. And so when the pollsters tell you what it means, it is really hard to know, because people got accustomed to doing things online and doing things early out of medical necessity. And so trying to draw conclusions from that, I think, is somewhat tenuous.
Steven, I know it's nearly 2:20 in the morning where you are in Wisconsin. I really appreciate you joining me tonight.
Thank you. The big thing today is Green Bay Packers are playing Michigan's Detroit Lions. And so for 2 or 3 hours later today, all Wisconsinites will be united in that one game.
I'm glad there's one way. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.